said you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Hi, I'm Gail Rubenstein, the founder and CEO of a company called Retail Resilient, social selling for the car industry. And we help auto dealers, auto agencies, and vendors in the auto industry sell more cars, service more cars, and make more money using our social selling strategy. That includes TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and anything else you can think of. So if you're looking to invest thousands and make millions, we're definitely the social selling company for you. Like I said, who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
If you run a service drive, you know these days first impressions matter. But when your advisors are tied up with inbound phone calls, they tend to neglect their other, more important duties. And did you know 75% of all service calls are frequently asked questions in routine requests? The average dealer misses up to 30% of inbound calls, adding up to a ton of missed service opportunity and increased customer churn. 68% of callers actually go elsewhere if they can't get through, which means you could be losing $60,000 to $70,000 every month in service revenue simply from missing calls. Introducing Brooke.
Hi there.
Your best service scheduling assistant. Brooke is the first intelligent digital voice assistant to answer, handle, and appoint all of your inbound service calls. Hiring Brooke means absolutely no call goes unanswered, boosting your customer satisfaction and reducing your overhead costs. And talking to Brooke is like talking to a friend.
Necessary, whether to a service advisor, roadside assistance, or a live agent. And I can do it without missing a beat.
You really do check all the boxes. Book with Brooke today.
Everybody wants to be part of a bigger story.
We're a small company, but we're going to change the whole industry.
So this is the Auto Hub Show live from NADA 2022, or as I keep saying, the International Automotive Hub Fest, which everybody's liking to see each other for the first time in a long time. Well, yeah, you're just not my type of hub. But welcome everybody. It's Jeff Polo here. Ian Nethercott, my better half of this show anyways. He's kind of tied up, so I'm left here, but I'm left here talking to Troy Glean of CDK Global. And Troy's a big fan of the show, and we get to see him all the time. He's guested a couple of times, and he's even learned our own version of the other one, which is the floppy ears of the Basset Hound from Retail Resilient. So Troy, how's the show going for you?
You know, the show's been amazing. Frankly, you said it yourself right off the hop. Hugfest. We haven't seen some of these folks in 2-3 years. Even my own coworkers I haven't seen in 2 years. This really has been a big family reunion for us, but also an opportunity to see our dealers, see our coworkers, see our competitors in an environment that we didn't even know existed, for the last couple of years, right, with no masks. And honestly, it's been the most positive experience that we've had in NADA for years.
It's really something. Actually, you touched on something very interesting. You said our competitors. And this is really the first time in my career that I've ever come across where everybody says the same words. We like our competitors. And I've yet to hear anybody, even walking by booths, nobody saying to anybody, well, our thing is better than those guys because they take their young and they pluck their ears off. And it's good. It's really good. And to compete on a level of, hey, I like my competitors, that's a good thing.
In all honesty, our competitors make us better. It's great to have innovation from our dealers, and we get suggestions from our customers all the time, and we take those very seriously. But honestly, having great, healthy competition is what makes us have to improve, rise up our game, and innovate. And so, yeah, if it wasn't for competitors, a lot of these companies wouldn't exist today. And frankly, even the floor of the NADA trade show over the last 5, 10, 15 years has changed complexion 100%. It's unrecognizable now because of the new startup and disruptive companies.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I'm looking over here at a company that does private party purchasing vehicles for dealers. And, heck, 2 years ago there was one, if anybody. Now there's so many of them. But here's a perfect example. We're sitting here at the Poly booth. And by the way, the Poly just won the best booth at NADA. So congratulations to them. It's a pretty cool booth. And nobody will let me on the shuffleboard, so I don't know. But the fact that you're here, they're here, and unfortunately, I think CDK competes with absolutely everybody, right?
Well, here's the thing about CDK, and yes, we do compete with a lot of other companies, but I will say this, dealers love choice. They need to have options. When a dealer gets told what to do, that's not a great thing. They have different, there's different business models across different geographies with different markets and different OEMs. And honestly, dealers like that choice. And so we do have a lot of great products, don't get me wrong. But what we really are proud of is the fact that we want to integrate with everybody. So whatever that third party is, whatever that service or product is, we want to do that. And that's really the wave of the future. The software that dealers are using today, in some cases, didn't exist a year ago. And the stuff that they're going to be using 5 years from now is probably still in someone's head in their garage while they're developing it. So honestly, it's the systems and the organizations and the companies like the ones we see here that are willing to integrate and grow are the ones that are going to be here next year and the year after that.
Yeah, it's very true. Well, before we went on to tape, you and I were talking about Tesla and how they're really the big dog right now in the EV world, and everybody's coming up. But he still had the foresight, the guts, the whatever to send out all this stuff on the internet anyway. 3, 4, 5 years ago, and perhaps if we didn't do that, we wouldn't have all these other companies today.
I agree with you in that if you look at the EV companies alone that are in here, whether it's charging stations or the EV models that are on display from the OEMs, the EV part of this show is massive, and it's going to only get bigger from here. But one of the things we were talking about before is our customers are car dealers, and the one thing that car dealers do exceptionally well is the customer experience. And I think that what dealers are realizing now is regardless of the vehicle, it's all about the customer experience. And we've gone through 2 years of really disruptive customer experience with pandemics and masks and appointment only and plexiglass, that to get right back down to handshaking and selling cars is what they really want to do. And dealers do a great job of that.
There's no question there. Many of us had to pivot during all this shutdowns, whatever terms you want, to try to build that type of experience online, on Zoom, on FaceTime, whatever it was, and it's a big thing. And yeah, everybody I'm hearing is excited about people coming into the store. Are you seeing new things designed around about creating an in-store experience that was mirrors the virtual one? Are you seeing any new products of that?
It's not just us, but a lot of organizations out here are doing that. And I think that what the pandemic has caused is a real need for an online ability to buy a car. And the truth of the matter is no two people take the same path to buying a car. Like some people will walk in and go, I want that vehicle right there. I'm paying whatever the sticker price says, and let's go sign the paperwork. But there are others that do all their research online. They might do a payment calculator. They might get their credit pre-approved. And then they might go in a store and look and kick some tires and go for a drive and then go back home and talk about what options they want with their significant other. Or maybe they get turned into a different direction with a different vehicle altogether. Then if you can go back online and look at those again, that's really where it's at. So I think it's not just online car selling. It's not just in store. It's how do I make my customer journey make sense? Whether I started online or I started in the store and go home and come back and do something else, that's really where it's exceptional. And I think we're starting to see that every dealer and every OEM has acknowledged they need a digital presence of some sort, because there are clients that want to buy a car online, but there's also clients that want to go in the store.
Well, you know, it's funny. I was speaking to somebody earlier today and in an earlier cast, and he's saying that the dealers have to create an online engagement very much like the launch. Like salespeople, if there's a lead online, salespeople go, yeah, I'll take it. Then they go and have a coffee, read the paper, talk to their friends, and then eventually get back to the person. If they think they get back to them during the day, they're happy. But they're standing in the window while visiting, looking for an up, and three people get stuck in the door to run out the door. And that's when he said that to me. I'd never thought about it. I thought, then as I'm hearing, I'm going, wow, that's brilliant. It's true, but it's brilliant.
It wasn't that long ago when we heard the stat that 75% of people were doing car research on the internet before buying. And to us, that was a big number. Then a couple years later, we learned that 90% of people were doing car research, but they're doing it on mobile. And we're like, well, this is a game changer. They're not just sitting on their computer at home. Well, what we learned through our analytics and research is that that mobile shopper was actually standing beside a vehicle in a showroom, looking at pricing of a similar vehicle at another dealership and comparing them in real time. So it's not even the salesperson getting back to them. It's really just being that adaptive and nimble and transparent and fast. Like it's customers want to move. And they have the research done for most part.
Well, this isn't the world today. And you know something, we're echoing everything that's being said out here. What percentage of everything out here is digital?
You know what?
Just guess.
No, I would say easily 75%.
Yeah.
Is a software.
And 5 years ago.
5 years ago, I remember the day that we went to NADA and they announced that 50% was technology. Now it's more. And you know, you could argue that every single piece here has a technology component attached to it. You know, even the fellas that are selling uniforms down the way have ways to manage your account online and track things that way. So it's not going away. Digital's here. And the reality with the dealerships is many of them were uncomfortable changing their methodology. They're like, my dad did this, his dad did this, we've done handshake deals for years. Now, this is an industry that's found itself thrust into a digital age, but also it's great. It's efficient. Customers like it. It's transparent. And the last thing is it truly does, and there's lots of evidence to prove this, result in bigger gross profit for the dealers because the customers have the pricing in mind, they have the payment in mind. There's no need to go in and go back and forth in the box anymore.
So how does the shortage of inventory affect the comment you just made? Because in some cases, people are saying, oh, I can get a car? Oh, this was like the early 2000s on Honda Civics and Corollas. Do you have a silver one? No. Do you have a blue one? No. What do you got? I got yellow. I don't like yellow. Well, you can wait 6 months. I'll take yellow. Can I get a discount? No, but by the way, that one's got $3,000 spoiler on it. So it is different.
You know, I think what the inventory situation is truly the dealers that have gotten creative, whether it's through software solutions or trying different ways to acquire vehicles, whether it's through private parties like that company over there, or through online auction or in-person auction or other creative ways of getting vehicles. There's a dealership in British Columbia that has a full-time employee working in northern Alberta, buying trucks from people who work on the rigs that leave Alberta because their job's over or whatever, and they don't want to bring the truck back, and they're doing great volume. So if you're creative, there's cars out there, and those dealers are the most creative and most willing to try things. Some of them fail, but if you try nothing, you're going to be in exactly the same situation as the dealer that has to ring the lot with vehicles on the outside, so it looks like they've got something on the inside. We've seen it all, right?
Well, you know, it's very funny. Innovation is what we're all about. And a long time ago, I won't admit it because I don't admit I was in the business that long ago. Dealer I worked for got innovative. It was a Ford store. He took a Ford pickup. He bought a camper, put it in the back, had a salesman, went up north, and he drove around from town to town up north, and he sold trucks like candy bears. It was crazy, and we had a delivery guy. The only problem was he lied. The only people called me and said, I don't know where the guy told me that the four-wheel drive switch is here. Well, they didn't have electric four-wheel drive there, and he sold them a two-wheel drive for the price of the four-wheel. So, sorry, you were going to say?
No, I was just going to say, the other part of innovation is really transparency. That this online world is really driving things to be transparent, whether it's pricing or financing or inventory. If you go to a website and that inventory is not there and it blinks out, that you can't hide that. And so I think the transparency is going to benefit the consumer, which will benefit the customer experience, which will benefit the dealer.
Well, here's something very interesting. It's the innovation, and you will find independent large lots can be very innovative. And I know a few of them in our neck of the woods. We both live in Vancouver, BC, and or generally. And I know some used car dealers that have 300 and 400 used vehicles on the lot. 2021 Sierras, 2021 F-150s, Highlanders, Pilots, etc. And you go to the GM store across the street, and they have nothing. And they have 4 cars parked sideways to make it look like they got something. And I like to pick on these guys. There's a Toyota dealer not far from my house, and they've got 4 cars in the front. Why? Because he's got a pipeline coming. He can still deliver a 70, 80 new a month. Doesn't care about used because you can't make any money on used. I don't know if you know that. He's brilliant. He can't make any money on used. But yet I go on the auction and I look, and there's 2021, 2022 Highlanders. There's 2022 Tundras on the auction, bringing over MSRP. And if he had that Tundra on his lot, used, so he doesn't get in trouble, would he get more than that?
It's interesting you say that. I think that a lot of dealers have acknowledged the fact that they need to ramp up their used business because it keeps people in the family. I mean, if I don't have the vehicle for you, but with my OEM, but I can use a similar OEM, why wouldn't I do that? I mean, you're still going to get my great service. You're still going to get my great customer experience. And when you are in the market for a new vehicle, well, maybe you'll choose us. But why would I let someone walk out the door because I don't have the right model when I could have it? I mean, the Kia dealership just down the road from my house has one marquee spot in front of its lot for a halo vehicle, so to speak. That vehicle right now is a Jeep Gladiator at a Kia store. So it's like, hey, I got the market, I got the units, I've got cars, and if you want a pickup truck, this is a good one. What a great message, right?
Well, if it's the people I think of, they made their money. They became Kia so they could sell pickup. But it's a funny thing how we let these things just pass us by. And we see that. And I have a friend of mine, and he has a vehicle coming up on a manufacturer's lease. I won't say what because we don't want to flag anybody. He cannot get a car. They will not extend his lease. So he has a choice. Buy it out or turn it in, order a new one, and we'll give you a discount on a new one in about 18 months. And the independent lease companies want 10, 12%, want a low residual, want fees and everything. What does somebody do?
It's a tough situation. There's no easy answer for that right now. But I will say that there are dealers, and I should speak a little softly, but the dealers that have the big premium markups or the financing that's 10, 11, 12% or punitive, or the lack of flexibility in that lease, customers will remember that. This inventory shortage is not forever. At some point, things will normalize. People may still order factory order vehicles more often than they did previously. But I think once this normalizes, the dealers that did right by their customers will be the ones that are still standing. I ran into a dealer in the hotel yesterday, and he said, CDK Global, because I was wearing my shirt. He goes, I know you guys. And I said, what do? Do you sell cars? He said, no, I help people buy cars. And that's really the difference, is if you can help people find a vehicle in a tough time, they're going to remember you, refer all their friends, and all of that good stuff. So yeah, this inventory shortage, there's no easy answer, but man, the dealers that do it right, they're going to have customers for life.
I saw a poll on LinkedIn the other day, and it said is charging over MSRP unethical. And it's amazing that the results, I can't remember exactly, were something in the neighborhood of 45% said no, 15% said yes, and the rest were somewhere.
I wouldn't say that it's unethical. I don't, because this is a free market business. Supply and demand exists. It's a real thing, and we have a hot commodity. I will say, however, ethics notwithstanding, good customer service and treat your customers right will always win in that same free market economy. So that dealer that goes and grabs the short-term profit today and is opportunistic, unless they're planning on selling their dealership next year, they're not doing themselves any long-term favor.
Well, you know, all I think about is that dealer that sells somebody an XYZ platinum truck with a lift and with that stuff, which is super cool, just super cool. But then puts a 20 grand premium on top of everything, finances them for what 108 months at you know, they're near prime, so they don't get the low rate. And the low rates aren't anywhere near what they used to be either. And then all of a sudden, in 4 years, that person says, shucks, you know what? I can't handle $6 a gallon gas, or up in Canada, $2.50 or $3 a liter. And they say, I gotta get rid of it. Oh, but you know, your truck's worth like $50,000, but you owe $98,000 on. I can't help you.
You know, you're right. That's the unethical line. I mean, the fact is, dealers, you think about the used car dealer mentality, that whole plaid jacket kind of look. We have some work to do in our industry in terms of repairing some damage and our perception that customers have. We got to fix that. And a lot of dealers are. Customer experience is getting better and better all the time. There is still, you might remember this radio from our market, the radio ad, which was a Grand Caravan for $29,995, but it's $29,995, Jeff, with $10,000 cash back. You should come and buy one. Well, if I'm a person who's not in the car business and I heard that radio ad, I heard $29,995 with $10,000 cash back. I'm thinking it's $19,995. I'm all over this van. I'm coming to go buy it. But really what it is it's $29,995, financed over 84 months. We're going to pay off all your bills and finance you an extra $10,000. Now you're at $34,999, you know, $39,999 with an 84-month lease on the Grand Caravan that depreciated 50% on as soon as it walked off the lot. That to me is unethical. When you're using that kind of tactic, I don't like that.
And of course, in 3 months, there'll be 25% cash back on it too. But you know, we always love to go for the low-hanging fruit. You know, if somebody does bad, 90% of dealers are pretty stand-up people.
More than that. I would say way more than that. And not only are they stand-up people, we're talking about selling cars. There's also the same growth opportunity and experience growth opportunity in service. And honestly, if you could do a great job of taking care of your customer when they come in for their lube oil filter or some of their major services, the trust that you build there will get them back into that sales cycle. That's huge.
Well, it really is. And I think the opportunity, and we're just repeating stuff that's been repeated over and over and over again right now, is keeping those people in service. This brand, this friend of mine, why wouldn't, and the dealer, by the way, does not have any way to get them to extend their lease. It's a big group. They've got 5 stores and they do, I don't know, 8,000 cars a year, whatever it may be, and they have no way to keep that customer. And all he could do, and it's a luxury line too on top of that. If it were me, I'd say, I'll tell you what, I'll subsidize this independent lease with this company. We'll extend you and we'll order you a new car. A guy you know well from our show, and a fellow that we have lots on from out east, Bill Camasco, he does just that. Their lease is up, he gets them into a used car, he gets them on a payment plan, calls it a lease, whatever the rules are there, and orders them their new caddy. And they come in with a Land Rover.
Well, you know, and it's funny too, because being creative and not letting people leave the lot is exactly what every dealer wants every salesperson to do. They're like, why did that person leave? You know, go chase him down, go run after him, go throw yourself in front of their car, right? Well, sometimes it's just a matter of being creative and find a solution together. And it's like that dealer I ran into last night at the hotel. He's like, I don't sell cars, I help people buy cars.
Yeah.
Find a way.
That's the way. And you know, actually something came up this morning too, is that there's somebody live on the lot. The manager goes to salesman. What happened? Da, 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 da. Okay, call them down now. Say, by the way, I forgot to tell you it comes with an extra whatever. But the online leads, they don't do that, do they?
You know, there's retargeting and remarketing and things like that. But there was a study that came out checking on online leads, and the number one response to an online lead during the study was calling. The second most common response, Jeff, was nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
So, you know, the online lead source, you know, we had a dealer actually in yesterday looking at our online modern retailing system, and they only measure their online retailing through how much does that lead cost me. They just treat it like a lead.
Yeah.
And we all know how salespeople are with leads. They're perfect 100% of the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you're monetizing this or just commoditizing it down to a click and a lead, you're not gonna win. You're not doing anything innovative or new. It's a new sales channel. We had another dealer that said, you know what, I don't need to sell cars online because my clients don't buy cars online. It's like, no, because they're not your clients, because they're buying next door because they sell cars online. There are people in every market, in every age group, in every region that want to buy online. They want to change the way that things are going. And even if I want to buy a car in person, my son doesn't. He wants to buy online. So
Well, he doesn't know the in person.
100%.
And you know what's funny? That dealer, the reason that dealer says that is because the only people he sees buying cars buy them in person, and he's missing them. And you know, what's really funny is a friend of mine got into big trouble on LinkedIn, and he had posted how he was looking for a car for himself, and he sent out some leads to some dealers in his area. He wanted to keep local, and I believe the numbers were askew, and every time I recollected different numbers, but I think he sent out 5 leads. He knew what he wanted. It wasn't like, tell me why I should buy it. He knew what he wanted. 5 leads, 2 autoresponders. We you know, it's like the music on hold. Your business is important to us. But he got 2 autoresponders, 1 calling, and 2 nothings. So he didn't like anything. So he expanded by 10. Guess what his return was?
Same percentage.
Less. Then he expanded it until he got a response from somebody, and it was immediate, and that person engaged him right away. Hi, my name's Chuck. I'm here for you. It was an email lead, so we didn't get a text, but he got it within about a minute. So you got to give the time to get there. So this person responded immediately, and he was 200 miles away. Guess where he bought his car?
200 miles away.
200 miles away, and I'll guarantee the first time he takes it in for service, somebody's just saying, why did you do that?
You know, people are willing, there's another study that we did where we learned that people are willing to drive 150 kilometers, 100 miles roughly, away to buy a car, but they're only willing to drive less than 10 to get it serviced. So if you want to get that business and expand that net, you've got to do that right thing by those leads for sure. Was that MC, by the way, that was looking for that vehicle?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I read that post.
And he got slagged. Oh, did he get, some people were so mad at, how can you do this? You're a car guy. How can you do this for us?
And that's the thing, is he's a car guy, and it still happened to him. I mean, come on. You know, the one thing about experience, and this is, I've said this story 100 times to my sales reps, is a lot of car dealers, especially generational ones, have never had to buy a car. Nope. They've always just gotten keys out of the key cabinet and driven it home. They don't know what it's like to do the research, drive up, park around the corner because you don't want anyone to see what you're trading in. You white knuckle it, and your significant other saying, okay, we're not going to spend any more than this. We're not going to spend any more than this. Don't spend any more than this. We're not going to need extended warranty. You're worried about getting approved for credit, and when you finally do, you go into the box and realize, oh my gosh, the payments are going to be way higher, and then you finally take a delivery of your vehicle like 4 days later. I mean, that experience is awful, and there's a lot of folks that are out of touch. And when a car guy can't get a car. And make no mistake, MC can pick up the phone and call anyone and they would have the best vehicle experience for him. But for him to do that academic exercise, it still showed we've got a lot of work to do.
Well, it does, but you know, it's funny, we do a lot of stuff right. I remember a dealer, he had his son coming up, and he told his son, here's the way it's going to work. First of all, as a kid, he did the car wash thing, blah, 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 blah. But he shipped him off to a buddy of his on the other side of the country, says you're going to work for him. If you make it as a salesman, and he is interested in promoting you as a manager, and will teach you, once he says you're good, you can come back here and take it over. If he doesn't, don't worry, you're going to take it taken care of, but you ain't touching my dealership. And lo and behold, he was top salesman, he became a sales manager, and he almost had to fight the other guy to leave. And that's the way to do it. And there's, you know, we won't get into that because there's a lot of multi-generational operations here. And you'll see, actually, it's funny when you come here, you'll see, you can tell who the dealer is, the father, I hate to say it. And then you will have the older offspring, and you can tell they're the next in line, and then the others. And unfortunately, in many cases, I've seen that the dealers dress normally, the rest are in labels. We're running out of time, but is there anything else you'd like to share to our audience, that a takeaway or an opinion? Or
I'll just say this. First of all, thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, thank you.
This is awesome.
And
being in this great booth, and you know, we said it off the start, and I will say this is our industry. This is our Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? It's a great show. I've had amazing conversations. I'm about 2 hours away from my voice going completely blown out, but to be able to connect with people in person, see you face to face for the first time, not over Zoom, that to me was worth the flight down here. We're thrilled to be here. We love our industry, and we're just over the top. This is back.
Yeah, I agree, and it's about time we take back that greatness, and people got to talk good about us, because you know. I got to tell you something. If you were to tell somebody you're a tech entrepreneur outside of the car business, they go, "Oh, way to go!" Or you're in the car business. I don't know. Thanks again. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching, and thanks to the people at Poly for hosting us. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. It's actually officially afternoon. I've been looking at my watch all morning here going, oh, no, I got to say good morning. So we're awake, and we're here in the North Hall of the NADA, or NADA, as people talk about, and 2022, where we're live and we're seeing people. We're not doing this, covered our faces with masks, and God willing, we can keep doing that. Welcome to the Auto Hub Show from the Poly booth here at NADA, and we are here interviewing a very good friend of mine who I just met like 8 minutes ago, but about 2 years ago we met, and I've been telling everybody that, oh, you're not 4 inches tall. Everybody knew I tell it to you.
You are taller than you are sitting down.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
For me, like, I think that's one of the blessings of the pandemic, that the reach got farther.
Yes.
We may not have met.
We would never have met. We would be, what's a guy from Vancouver, Canada, going to meet an HR person from Sarasota, Florida? And of course, time to introduce her. This is Sandy Zanino, who is a HR automotive guru. That's like a capital G. She is from Sarasota, Florida, as I told you. And Sandy, please introduce yourself like we do in the show, and tell everybody about yourself.
Well, you were doing a really good job there.
Thank you.
I'm Sandy Zanino, and my company is called Innovative Auto HR, IAHR. And there's some friends. It's so much fun to see friends here. And I help dealers protect their profits through compliance, training, culture building, and I'm also a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant as well.
You know, every time I go to say that, I get tongue-tied. Diverse, but I can't say it.
Well, you can shorten it and just say DE.
DEI. Oh, but that's the enterprise.
DEIB.
Yeah, Earnhardt Enterprise comes on their video here earlier, so you can't really say that. But yes, I understand that. I also can't say Sherman Shishimi, so that's a problem.
I'm not going there.
No, you're not going there. So Sandy, we've had a lot of conversations about HR, and one of my favorite things to pick on in the car business, even though I try to be positive, is just how we view HR. And Ian Nethercott, my partner in the auto hub show, who unfortunately isn't here because he's busy working. Can you imagine that? Him and I always talk about that the shows that get the least amount of views and listens are the HR shows. And yet it's such a big area. We talk about this all the time. You know, the biggest single expense of a dealer is their people, and they don't pay attention. Why do you think that is?
Well, you know, in a way, I kind of understand it. You know, HR normally, we're very detailing, and while the devil is in the details, it's boring. It's not, you know, it's hard to sexy HR up, right, when you're talking about compliance. Plus, dealers are weary. They're weary from having to deal in this country with the FTC, with the 23 different compliance laws. By the time you get to HR, there is a part of me that understands it. I've been in this industry long enough to get that. However, you know, human resources for me is important. And one thing I always like to say is, you know, if you manage people, you're a human resources manager, whether you realize it or not. And it can make it break.
Well, I was with a dealer group that the HR was the CFO, and then they went through the generational change, and they decided to become more corporate. And they brought in a new ops person, and this person had deep experience as a family-owned business. And what ended up happening was they, hello, Jeff Williams, how are you? Sorry, I had to do that. They hired an HR person. This person was cleaning house. And the HR person's job was to handle the house cleaning. And that's got to be the worst thing you could do, wouldn't it?
Well, I think it's the worst thing that any manager can do. It's the hardest thing, one of the most difficult things. It's never easy whether it's a warranted termination, especially when it's warranted, right? It's hard. It's a hard thing to do. So, is there a question in there other than that it's a hard thing to do, or is it just that HR is often kind of here comes HR, somebody's losing their job?
Well, you know, it was the case of when they went to a formal HR was when they decided they were getting rid of people, and they did it in a way that how would I put it? They upset them so much that people were quitting. And is it fair? First of all, that really isn't HR, is it?
No, and I would have to know, like, one of the things about being an HR professional is that I have learned to ask questions: who, when, where, why, what, and really get what's happening. So I couldn't answer what was going on in there. You know, however, human resources for me, you know, HR is I need to build trust with the people that I work for, and also the people that I work with.
Well, you know, in my opinion, that term is I don't know. It's human resources. It's this term that, again, like you say, isn't very exciting. But you know, if you came up with an exciting name, it would be more exciting.
Well, we've been trying to come up. I mean, HR is kind of in a identity crisis. I think you hear a lot of different names for HR. The people, either the head of people, or the culture and people, director of culture and people. We're trying to come up with different names, but in the end, it's human resources, right? So it is what we do. It's what we do. You know.
It's actually funny to see all these titles now. I just had Don Brady here, and Don Brady is the Vice President of Dealer Success at Ship Your Car Now. And in the old days, we call that just VP of Sales. You know, and what he does is sales, but it's like way more because he's actually trying to prove success. Switching gears a little bit, I'm asking everybody this. What's the one thing you really want to glean from the show?
Well, other than being really excited to see people that one haven't met, right, like you. Some people just walk by, so people that I haven't seen in a long time. I am looking forward to seeing some new vendors.
Yeah.
And you know, really, it's just about networking for me. You know, can't miss the parties too. There are some fun parties at MLB.
Well, it's very funny because we mentioned earlier that one of the recommendations to people here is don't sign contracts at parties. Sorry, everybody, but
Don't sign
contracts
contracts with
at
your
parties.
drink team ever, whether it's at a party or not.
Well, how many people have you met that they discovered they bought stuff and they have no recollection?
I don't go.
Lots for sure. So, if you were setting up the show, what would be the biggest booth you would pick here? If you were in charge of the show.
If I was in charge of National Auto Dealers Association show, and what booth would I pick for?
What would you make the biggest booth? What would you choose to be the biggest? By the way, I'm purposely asking you weird stuff just because I know how.
Yeah, this is like a weird question.
Totally.
Well, I'm not going to be selfish and say, well, we'll make it, you know, some kind of HR booth.
Why?
Well, because if I'm putting on a show, I need to think about what the whole, you know, what's the end game of the show.
Well, wouldn't you want to have a booth here with a play on, somebody letting staff go, actors and everything, and you.
So you're talking about a stage where we're doing improv, really?
Improv, exactly.
That could be fun. That could be fun. We've got a player right here.
Yeah, he'd be really good. He'd be good at doing. He's a very good Spanish speaker. He'd know his stuff.
Yeah, he's got some good talents going on with his.
Well, everybody does. If you're in the car business, you have to have hidden talents.
Well, this is true.
That's right.
He's got some pretty good accents.
Oh, exactly. You wouldn't know that
His
he's
natural
Scottish.
Scottish accent
Exactly.
to Texas.
What? Tell me something about you I don't know. What's your business I don't know?
We've talked a lot about my business.
Oh, no, I know a lot.
Well, but I also, a lot of people don't know that I also recruit. Right? I help dealers, I help all kinds of employers find, attract, and most importantly, help them retain new talent, right? Which is, in the world we're in right now, is a huge thing. The retention is important.
Well, you know, retention is another one of those keywords. And we talk about this all the time in this business. It's this thing, we need to retain our staff. We don't like to hire people. I hated going through the interview because I found myself saying the same thing over and over again. And I actually went down the rabbit hole of really weird questions. Now, I don't ask really weird questions, but I'd ask these people things about somebody coming in with their son, and they see this lifted truck, and it's got a 600 horsepower engine in it. They know he's going to, if he buys the thing, he's going to be dead the next day as he flies off the cliff. The parents say, don't sell it to him. What would you do? And then you look at people you're giving me right now. But retention, how do dealers legitimately retain people?
Well, you know, this is the part that we do talk about, only I don't really put it out there very much that I do recruit. The part that differentiates us is that I help employers kind of not create, because there is already a value proposition, but more figure out exactly what it is, help communicate that to their hiring managers so that they can articulate that value proposition to your candidates to give them a reason for coming to work for you, right? So it's really kind of like marketing, but it's very, very important. And then it has to be authentic. There's a lot more that goes into it, and the employee value proposition itself than I could answer in a sort of 30 seconds. But it's super important for your retention, right? It has to be authentic.
You you got 30 minutes if you want. We can sit here all day.
Well, I mean, just think about values, right? Like most dealers have their core values, either on their website or on their, so those values become a part of the proposition, right? And come up with stories, right? So your managers, let's say your values are integrity, service, growth. Those are actually core values from a dealer that I worked for many, many years, right? So like, I'll give you an example of one of the things that we did. I implemented we call onboarding orientation, whatever, but it was the first day for every employee, not just for sales, not just for your, profit creators, but for every new employee. And part of what I would talk to them about is number one, I gave them a little card with those values on it. And here's the core values for X, Y, Z. And then I told them some stories about how those things showed up on a daily basis, right? So they know what the company is all about. And it started them off on a great foot, right? And I mean, there are other things that are attributable to their very, very low turnover, like 30% turnover, which is super low in our industry, right? Right. I'm not saying that it was just about me, but it definitely did seem like it would.
A lot of people view 30% retention as good number.
Right.
Yeah. So how do we beat the elephant in the room of our business? How do we get away from this thing that we keep falling into with people?
I don't know that it's an elephant in the room, because that's something that phrase is when it's it kind of would indicate something that's there that you don't talk about. We talk about these things and have been talking about things since 1998. I started this industry in 1998, and still the chatter was about turnover. How do we find good talent? How do we keep that talent, right? We've been talking about it for a long time, so I don't know if it's the elephant that's in the room, because we are talking about it.
How do we stop talking about it? Talking about it and start doing it.
We stop talking and we take action, right? And we really, and because it's not rocket science, and it doesn't have to be big world-changing things. You can make one little change, one small step, right? You can just start small.
So, did you lose your?
Yeah, I'm
not a problem.
I gotta say, the coffee bar, what an awesome thing.
They did a heck of a job.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, again, we're at the Poly booth here, which used to be Dealer Poly. And now it's Poly, which is a much better thing. I'm just waiting to find my Poly pocket. So, this business has changed so much over the years. Yet this seems to be the one thing we don't want to keep, that we're keeping it. And where did it come from? Why do you think it's still here without attacking anybody? Why do you think the issue with people?
Why do I think what is still here?
Why do you think our issue with people is such a problem? On the dealership level, especially. Well, certainly this one's better.
Well, I think that what we need to do, I think that we have these glasses on, right? And we look at employees in a certain way. Some of that is generational, right?
Yeah.
I believe, right? Like my generation, Gen X, I grew up with a belief that, number one, if I work hard, if I put my head down and I work hard, right, I would be rewarded. That wasn't necessarily my experience, right? So we also are an industry it's an industry that was built by white males for white males. It is what it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now there's the elephant.
I said, don't attack anybody.
I'm not attacking anybody.
I'm
I
joking.
don't mean that at all.
Yeah.
They've built an amazing industry, right? Like I love automotive. I wouldn't still be here if I didn't love this industry, right? I see the greatness of this industry.
Yeah, I've had lots of opportunities to leave it, and I still keep coming back, and in different forms, but I'm coming back.
Right. Well, I mean, just think about that small thing. For many people, for many men that look like you, put your head down.
You mean good looking guys? Come on, tell me the truth.
Put your head down, working hard will be wasn't necessarily my experience, because I wrote my answer.
But I have to tell you something. It isn't necessarily true because, you know, I came from you work hard. I started in the business when you were, you know, you got there when it opened and you left when it closed. And if it closed at 9, it closed at 9. If it closed at 11:30, it closed at 11:30. And I saw and I experienced many people that came in and say, yeah, you know, we're going to go a different direction. Thanks very much, bye. And I've seen a great deal of experience.
Well, that's where I was heading actually, like that generational thought of, you know, on time is late, right? Like get there early, be ready to work, get there, just do what you're told. Don't make any waves.
Don't do what I do what I say.
Or, well, that's an aspect too,
Yes.
right? That's more, to me, that's more of a leadership thing, right? The way I think about work. So when we look at the generations that are entering our workforce today, you know, Gen Z is a great big generation that's entering the workforce.
Yeah.
Millennials are a huge generation. They are the largest cohort in the workforce, and these two generations will make up. I'd have to look it up right now, but it's going to be like 70 to 75% of the workforce. Right? They want something different. They think about work differently. Than
well, and the fact is that many of these people that I read, you know better than me, is they're not looking to be in one job, forget one employer, one job for their life.
Well,
they
it's
want to do a
interesting.
whole bunch of other things.
That's interesting. Like when I was just talking to about recruiting job that I was doing. I sent a resume and job number. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not job jumping. We're talking about 20 years with 5 jobs, right? Which means, yeah. So, but
Pardon me a second. That's
we need to change how we think, right? Like my 20 years, more than 20 years, I had 2 jobs, right? Like I'm the perfect candidate. Like I have staying power. I'm there. However, moving, if you're not moving up, right, people are going to move. And so we need to also think about creating career paths.
I agree. You know, and it's
meaningful career paths.
and it's funny. This business is very hard for that because there's not a lot of, you know, if you take a salesperson, you take a tech, and first of all, a technician, they train their whole lives to that point to fix cars, and it's a little tough for them to move up. The only time they think about moving up is if they hurt themselves and they can't turn them into, or in some cases the technology is something they just don't want to deal with. But when you get that age group, that's a big challenge for us because we have only, in my opinion, we have 2 groups of people. We have the 20-year people and we have the 1-year people. And you know, it's a case of, well, you know what they do with you. 1 year, they had 1 year here, they had 1 year there. Sometimes you meet them and the reason they left wasn't their choice.
I think it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen as the market normalizes, right? Because when I think about sales, and I've actually talked to a couple of the others who they have new salespeople new to the industry, and they're so much money, and so
they don't know what they're doing.
Right. And, I'm not going to go into that part of it, but what will happen? You know, will there be a great resignation coming up from those people who we have trouble attracting people to our industry? It's not all about money. So I think that's going to be put to the test.
Although tied up with money is success. If you brought into the business, you're not trained the skills, because I do believe talent isn't something that can't be trained. And I've tried to hire people with talent and hopefully build that talent and training. But when they hire a body that comes in because they now have openings, and that person just stands there and takes a call, and the first person that they get a hold of buys a car. and they only have the green one in with the red interior, and they buy it, they get 10% of MSRP. They pull down this huge commission. They sell a Corolla and they get $1,000 commission. And then all of a sudden they start getting cars in. And now they have to start competing. We've had a couple people on the show, dealers that are scared with us about what their salespeople are going to do, what their teams are going to do as inventory builds up. And then they're going to have to pivot from, well, you can put your name in, or here's that one, but it's 10 grand over MSRP, to what do I have to do to earn your business? So, you know, that's, I don't think we're going to have a great resignation. I'm afraid we're going to have a great jumping ship, be it resignations or something else. I'm not sure what word.
Exodus is what you're.
Oh, Exodus, I like that. I never thought about that.
You know, I would, if I had a client who was talking to me about that, I would probably recommend that they start being open with their staff about their fears. It's like, here's what's there. You know, if these are new people, they don't understand our industry. It's like normal.
They have no idea.
So,
and then they discover.
So they've been sold, right? You know, they need to understand. You know, here's how you're going to make money. Right? Like, here's your simple pay plan.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's a whole other.
Here's your pay plan that you can understand, that your neighbor who's never worked in car business can understand.
Yes.
That's
what. Well, we all think, well, that's paying commission, and that's the thing you hear about the new generations, Gen Z. They don't want to sit there and work 12 hours for $200 paycheck. Right?
They do not. Yeah. I don't think anybody wants to work 12 hours for $200.
Here, I'm going to tell you the funny thing. And then we're gonna close. I'll leave it to you to say the last. Yes, and she goes, thank God, because just asking weird questions like that. But when I started the business, and I won't tell you when, because it was a long time ago, the flat commission was $200 minimum. And guess what it is today in those places?
No, it's funny, but I know.
Well, depending where you are, it's 100. I mean, I sold Toyotas, and we sold Corollas at 3,900 Canadian, and you got 150 for the Nerd. You got 200 for every other one, and you never got more because you got paid in gross. Now everybody, most of the people I see, it's at 200 your minimum. Little tough back then. Rent was $600 a month. Nothing's changed. Here's the funny part.
A lot of years, not that you're going to say how many.
With people, right?
Wow.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm happy. Yeah. Good, you. I'm happy to be wrong. I'd like to be wrong because I open my mouth as I think. But nevertheless, thank you so much for coming here. I really appreciate it. Jordan, I'm so happy to meet you. I cannot wait. If somebody asked me the number one person that I wanted to meet here, it was not Michael Strahan, it was Sandy Zanino.
Oh, I did not pay him to say that.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
And I know I'm going to bump into you. Pleasure's always. Guess who's here?
Ian's here.
It's on recording now, but we'll just start. Guys, just tell me when you're good to go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to NATA 2022 at the lovely Poly booth, formerly, we don't tell that old name. And I've got Jeff Polo from the Auto Hub Show coming to you from the Great White North, actually here in Vegas. And I have two gentlemen who I've heard a lot about, just met today, and two totally different people you could meet from totally different sides of the business enjoying NADA. First of all, we have John Brady from Ship Your Car Now, and Peter Caruso from Vision AST and all sorts of other stuff. And gentlemen, please say hi, say a little bit to everybody here, and welcome.
Well, sorry. I'm Don Brady. I'm the Vice President of Dealer Success for Shifter Carnell, and I'm very excited about being here at NADA, meeting a lot of friends, and reuniting with a lot of friends for NADA 2020. Very excited about the show.
Jeff, and I'm Pete Carasone with Vision AST. We're an analytics reporting platform and automotive and power sports. It's great to see everyone in person again, that's for sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a little different down here. Down here, you're a lot more open than we are up at home, and we're opening, but it's a little interesting there. You see people, you go, oh, I know that face. I don't know those eyes anymore. But Don, what's the number one thing that you're looking to get out of the show, other than a lot of business? And you know you're going to get way more business.
Well, I'm actually, as crazy as it sounds, I'm not out here to ask for business. I'm actually out here literally just to see my friends and what I consider family from social media, and obviously expand on the relationships. I mean, that's really what I'm after, is relationships, and ultimately business happens. If you take care of people, and it just comes around and takes care of you too.
Sure. I actually had somebody tell me that had been to earlier ones, their dealer, and he says he gets home, and 2 weeks later, the CFO comes to him and says, "What is this? I'm being asked to pay for something." He goes, "I don't know." And then he's asked the sales manager comes to him and says, "What is this platform? I got these two guys showing up to do an install." And so of course they show up. What about yourself, Peter? What's your number one takeaway you want to have here?
It's a relationship thing. I've talked to a lot of people all day long on the phone. It seems every time we meet with friends. In fact, the first two meetings today were, why are we doing more business? Why am I not giving you more business? And when you come to these events, you reconnect and things really advance. So just a lot of facing that.
Well, it's definitely about relationships. I don't know how many people that I've met who discovered that they're actually big, taller than 4 inches. Because of course, when you happen to the stream, and then you walk up and you go, as you walk by them, you go, and then everybody goes and looks at the name tag. And John, so you built this great presence. You and I were talking earlier about becoming an internet celebrity. And, I actually do hear that Wayne Newton's going to be standing over there and asking you to be on stage with him today. Seriously though, but you built quite a presence, and part of that was from your drive across America, wasn't it?
It was actually Charge Across America.
Charge Across.
Sparked by Fleet and Charge Across America actually approached me, and I had the opportunity of doing a cannonball run style race from New York City to Los Angeles, California. With a twist, we couldn't go over the speed limit, but we were also driving fully electric vehicles, so charging stations, flying the distance, finding where you're going to charge. We weren't allowed to charge overnight, so it was unique. There was some very strict guidelines, but it was a on camera all the time, which was very unusual. I had a cameraman in the back seat, a camera right in front of my face, all the way across the country, with someone that I had never met before until the beginning of the race. But I learned a lot about the infrastructure in our country and how not ready we are yet for fully electric.
So what you're telling me is you suffered range anxiety.
There was moments of sheer terror that goes along with that. Range anxiety is real. It really is real.
So they didn't have a pickup following you with a battery? Just kidding. No, not really. So speak about range anxiety, people. Analytics world is all about that sort of thing, correct? And it isn't the exciting part of the car business. So, it's generally the first 4 letters, which I will not repeat because some point this will be broadcast somewhere and people are listening. But what is the most exciting thing about analytics?
Well, the exciting thing to me is our passion is taking data. It's taking it and making it digestible so you have intelligence possible. It's fun to go to a dealer or a provider or agent and help them spot opportunities to grow their business. I see a bump every time I provide information, so that's rewarding to me. I did it at the dealership level for myself and dealer principal for years, and I'd be able to bring it everywhere and make it really simple with a really nice user interface like that. It's just rewarding. You open people's eyes to what's really happening, taking emotion out of it, making love.
Sure, but I mean, now the question is this. Earlier, Glenn Lundy was here with my colleagues in another broadcast. I won't mention their name, they're too cool. But seriously, he mentioned Saturday morning sales meetings. How do you make analytics exciting for salespeople on a Saturday morning?
You just have a leaderboard. Here's where you stand. There's 15 salespeople, and your number is 14. What do you do to change something? Competitive group of people. So that's easy. You don't even really need to talk about it. You just post the numbers, and you let the competitive nature of salespeople.
But how do you get them to understand KPI?
That's a good question. And, that's the battle. And that's kind of how we've changed our model, frankly. Is we were providing intelligence that was very intuitive to me, but not everyone knows what to do. So we kind of added to our team with people that came from the economic side of the business that actually took the data and made it actionable and made decisions and trained with it. So we're bringing that perspective beyond just here's a platform, here's our knowledge, and here's our ability to coach it through.
Perfect. And Don, what's your opinion? What should dealers be looking for? Because ultimately, this is a dealer show. I haven't seen a lot of dealers yet. It is too many of them were out last night. But what do you recommend a dealer to do to get the most out of the show? It's big. It's in 2 different halls. You got to walk.
Well, I actually talk about that. When I think about it, as I have my general manager hat on. I used to come to these shows as representative of the dealer. It's tremendous. It's overwhelming. What my recommendation is, this is going to probably go against a lot of what people out here are wanting to do. I don't know that I would recommend signing any contracts. We're actually really, the idea is spend the time with the booths that you're interested in what they're offering. Really, truly listen to it. Maybe hit it once and then walk around and come back and hit it again. And then take the time to digest what you're looking at. So I know in my role, I have obviously Don Brady Consulting Inc. and then I've got the Vice President of Dealer Successorship now. And what I do for dealers is everybody's talking about Carvana and Glean. I actually can help our dealers become Carvana or Glean. I give them the shipping button on their cars. The customers can push a button and get an instant quote to ship the car from the dealership to their house. And I don't charge the dealer anything. So come in here with an open mind there, because the guys that are saying that the internet's a fad and it's going away, or that Carvana is just going to go into business and people aren't going to buy cars online. Not really true. They're actually doing this.
Well, that's very funny. I'm surprised. It's a great term. I'm surprised, but so many people are saying the same thing you just said. The internet's going to go away. Maybe they didn't think of what we went through. What's the same thing? Same question for you. What's your recommendation for a dealer here? Because of course, all of us are ex-dealers. We're trying to figure out why we love it so much. We are excellence, but what's your recommendation?
Yeah, I think if you find yourself roaming around a lot, so I always think look at your stores, your dealership. What are our primary needs? How do you find a solution for 2 of our biggest challenges, and then try to find something new that you can exist to focus on 2, maybe 3 needs you need to address. Spend your time there, and then you're going to stumble across something new. Don't try and see everything.
Well, we have a lot of trainers in this business, and they train in all sorts of. I wonder if we should become trainers and train the dealers how not to buy things, because frankly, dealers are salespeople, and even if they've come up from admin, from fixed ops or anything of that sort, they become salespeople, and salespeople are the easiest sales. And what one thing do you want to see here? What is one person, one product, one customer that you want to meet here? Yes, I know you're not going to try and sell them, but who do you want to build a relationship with?
Well, this may sound crazy, but I was real excited about the first group I visited is Paul. So a lot of these folks that deal with policy are good friends, from Travis to Ryan to Mike to Greeny. So I mean, really, this is the first group I made it to of the show. It's where I want to go after I finish this podcast. I'm going to be back over talking to these guys. But I'm not going to do that, but there's a lot of people that I want to see. Melanie Gordon actually walked by, said hi. I had to find her. Right when I got on the podcast, she was walking by smiling. So I'm looking forward to meeting her. But I'm really just looking forward to meeting all my friends and continue this relationship because most of my business has come to me because of social media, and I'm very thankful and blessed for that. And people refer, all my dealer partners, all these partners here, they refer dealers to me, and that's how I ended up helping those dealers. So I think that's the big thing.
I just wanted to meet Don Brady. I heard he was going to be here. Fortunately.
Well, that was my number one, man, because I've been following him for a long, long time, and it's funny, when you take a look, you're a different person than you are on there. Because you are on there, it's kind of goofy. Here, you're.
No, I'm actually kind of goofy.
No, no way, no way. So you mentioned, very interesting. You mentioned Melanie, and Melanie and yourself, and so many people here that we can actually throw these names out and become celebrities. Literally, is it a good thing? Now, I know it's good for your business, but would it be good for you? If we got you on there doing TikToks and stuff, and I don't know about that, but what is it about that, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, the people that say that I'm an automotive celebrity, I think it's a little boring. I'm just me. That's when I'm on social media. I'm just being myself. But I mean, it's kind of neat. Like, I still get starstruck. I mean, the first time I met Melanie, I was starstruck, and I'm sure I will be. This will be the second time I've met her. I will be then too. But it's weird because as I've been doing the social media thing, and I've been going to a car dealership, I had one that I was in West Virginia. Salesperson literally ran across the showroom and picked me up off the ground, and then I'm so excited. I want to come out and see my van and take pictures, and then. But then he took me to his general manager and said, "This is Ron Brady again. I've been telling you about. We need to do all of our shipping through him." And I've been shipping ever since. So for me, being recognizable is not a bad thing. I don't want to become infamous. I don't want to. You know what I mean? I just want to. I want people to realize that who they see on social media is who I truly am. When I do a video and I stutter or I stumble with my words, I do one take. So if I mess up, I mess up. That's who I am. I'm human. So there's people that I've seen that are somewhat phony. I don't ever want to be that guy.
So, do you have plans to become an internet celebrity?
I had no plans.
Why not? A good-looking guy like you, and
I'll stick to this kind of stuff when I'm invited, but no celebrity.
Yeah, by all means. And but it's funny how the power of that, because whenever we have a show, we're every Monday on Zoom, of course, and live on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Nice one.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. But we find that we get people on who through me and my partner, and there's all sorts of people, and there are people that come on and go, "Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate you thinking of me." And I go, that's great. That's super. I just feel superb about somebody thanking us and liking to be here. So it's very true. You mentioned walking into a dealer, and the dealer backgrounds, what always drove me crazy, and drives me crazy when I walk into a dealer. I don't have anything to promote to a dealership or anything like that. But if I walk in, and the number one thing that bothers me, the number one thing that bothers me when I ran dealerships, is walking into the showroom and being totally, utterly ignored. And a fellow that I'm connected with on LinkedIn made a post the other day. He was looking for a car for his wife, Michael Cirillo. And he sent out some leads. I think he said he sent out 5 leads. 2 autoresponders and 3 ignores. Then he decided to expand it. And I think in the end, he 50. And almost no reaches. He did everything. Gave phone numbers, gave everything. How are we going to get around this? And it's not leads, it's not walk-ins. How are we going to get around this as a business? How are we going to get it that we sell more cars? F&I companies make money, shippers make money, insurance companies make money. How are we going to do this? Because it's getting too easy right now.
The first thing that comes to mind is right now with the lack of inventory and there's not that same volume. So salespeople, the PVCs even worth their pay plans. So everyone that walks in is going to buy whatever they can find that's close to suiting them. There's some laziness about it. You know, you had to sell 20, 30 cars, you had to hustle a little bit. And I was like, oh, this is great for the next buyers. And I just saw that laziness. And when I was in a dealer group, our dealer principal, someone before I had my own office for our software company, I was working at a dealership in the showroom, and I was, if 5 seconds went by, I was waiting for the dealer principal to climb on my shoulder and tackle somebody to lose his mind or greet him at the door. So we were a little different. That was amazing how often salespeople would take that same meeting and still not put their head down on the computer. And how you overcome it, I think, is hiring the right people and constant training, really not accepting anything but not enough service. It's hard to do. But you make examples of people that aren't doing a good job, and you reward the ones that are doing it. Make examples of well.
Sure. Well, you know, I used to have a dealer, and he said his saying was this: was a good manager is a good chatter. And in so many cases, everybody's busy doing things, and even in the biggest dealerships, everybody's multitasking. And your managers have got their heads buried in the computer, your salespeople have got their heads buried in the phones. A customer, they get the lead. And in the old days, I go back to having rotary dial phones in the dealership. And the receptionist would call sales line 1 or sales call reception because there's no line 1. I had a pen and sticking into the thing, so I dive over the desk, knock the pen out, and then it would dial as I picked it up and hope to be the first person. I'm not seeing that today. And what are you seeing, John? Because you can rent to dealers, obviously, a lot.
Yeah, and honestly, the lack of intensity, I hate to use the word laziness, but that's the right word. And it's the facts. They're making all of the board right now. I think the lack of inventory is more of an excuse sometimes. I think the intensity still got to be there. I mean, every single customer is important. They need to, and again, that like you said, that comes from training, it comes from, even when I was a general manager of the store, I would take it up if I had to. Or if it's to be, it's up to me. I mean, that's how I felt. I always felt that way. And you want your team around you to feel that same way. And if everybody, they're all aligned with that same mission, you're not going to have customers go around the
And I'll make the bet you had dirty shoes from washing cars too, because you didn't get a delivery, right? You remember that one. So, what message do you want to send out to people here at the show, people watching the Auto Hub show? And just what message do you want to give out, not just about the show, business in general, even vision?
That's a great question. I guess the message is that right now, for a lot of folks in business, in the car business, things can start to get easy. I lazy, but things are easy right now. Some are using the opportunity to really improve and enhance their processes, whether it's analytics or it's training, and all they kind of go hand in hand. I worry for those that aren't taking action to do those things right now. Things eventually go back the other way, whether it's economically or just there's during the inventory again, and there's margin compression comes back and those things prepared. Short memories, you can forget what you have to do to survive, and it goes back to that. Everyone sit back and get there now. So focus on your business now while you have the time and the resources financially to make an improvement, so you're ready for that phase of the business.
It's funny. I'm of the opinion, and every time I say this, it just shoots me down. But I do believe that overnight something's going to happen. Like not tonight, obviously, but overnight, all of a sudden, plants are going to open up because I know everybody's opening chip plants like they're going out of style, and not all of a sudden, but suddenly dealers are going to say, we're giving product. And by the way, if you want a Lightning, you're going to have to take 27 F-150 XLT two-wheel drives. And, it's a good point. You got to be prepared, and it is too easy. I don't need to pick on people. I try to be positive, but you know, every time you do this, I know Ian is not here, but he tried to buy a car, and boy, oh boy, it took him, a car guy. It took him a year to buy a car because people weren't bothered with it, and they knew him. They knew him personally. Don, what about yourself? What big thing you want to see here for people, for recommendations from the show?
Well, what I want to say is to your audience and everybody out there is, I want to first of all say thank you to everybody that's referred anybody to me. I'd love to continue that. I'd love to help all of you with your businesses if I can. And as far as the show, I mean, again, we talked about be real positive, be open-minded. You need as many people out there as you can. Really look at what their businesses are offering the dealerships, because there's a lot of neat concepts here. I think we're going to find again, just don't be closed-minded, because I think closed-minded when you get left behind.
Well, you're right. There's so much stuff here. Like I walked around yesterday. I've only been here today. I've been on break. It's intimidating. Like there's some places you walk in, and if I was a dealer, I would turn and walk away because it's like, man, this is a nice group. They got some good stuff. How do they afford it? and John, actually, you mentioned referrals. So, what would you say to the dealership to teach them about referrals? Because we all talk about salespeople. We all talk.
Hey, there's Melanie.
Hello, Melanie. Don was just saying how much he likes you, how he has to come and visit you, and he admires you, and he thinks you're the nicest person on the earth.
Hey, Melanie, come here.
Come on.
Well, she told me she was going to give me a hug, so I might as well do it on a live podcast.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, this is live.
Exactly.
So good to see you.
Melanie Borton, everybody. Live at NADA, the Auto Hub show. So getting back to the boring stuff, now that we had a nice interlude, you build your business on referrals.
Right.
And I know that I sat down with salespeople. You've done it until you're blue in the face. Ask for a referral. Deliver a car. Do you like how I treated you? Great. Do you know anybody looking? Oh, you don't? Okay. Bye.
Actually, what I would say not to do is don't hand your customer 35 business cards. Because I guarantee you they're going to get lost or they're going to throw it away. What I believe is stay in contact. And I think video is the way to do it. Send a video, thank you after they've left the store. I think video is everything. I mean, the reason I've risen to
Fame your
yeah, I
business.
hate that, right? I'm not. Honestly, it's just again, it's me. So I do those videos. I stutter, I stumble, and sometimes I don't know what I'm going to say next, and it's just who I am. So when back in the late '90s, early 2000s, when I was selling cars, I had a flip phone, and I don't remember the grainy videos that you would send with those, but I was doing that.
Oh, no, I never saw those. I've only been around long enough.
But I was sending out videos, and really just all I was saying is, hi, I'm Don Brady. I was introducing myself, and I might have a car behind me that they were interested in from an internet lead. And when they came to the store, it was different because they would walk in and they would walk up to me and say, hi, Don, thank you so much for sending that video. So after they left, then I sent them a video thanking them. And I think that memory was better than even a handwritten thank you card, which they should also do.
And what's really impressive is if you did it on a flip phone, it took them 45 seconds to 2 minutes to download that video.
Yes, so you had to make it short. I was 15 to 25 seconds is what I would try to do. What I love about social media is I'm memorable. It's not about being. I'm not famous. I'm memorable. So as I walk around the show and I keep saying hi Don, hi Don, hi Don, it's because I'm memorable. I'm not a celebrity. Melanie Gordon, she's probably a celebrity.
She's a big time celebrity.
She's reached that status. I haven't, and maybe one day I will. But if I do, what they're going to get at the end of the day is the same humble Don Brady that they saw 2 years ago.
Well, I don't know if you get picked for the drive the $2 million electric car down through Germany, and you're going to be doing it with, I don't know, Schwarzenegger. I think you might change.
I would probably go. I would
yeah.
I would do that.
Who would turn that down? So Peter, as we're slowly wrapping up here, you're obviously a vendor here, and you got to do it. And how do you make yourself stand out from everybody else? Because there probably isn't any other analytics company here. There's probably no other tech companies here. So, there's nobody to compete against. But actually, it's funny. I really believe the car business, especially with companies like Tesla, Rivian, is less about cars and more about tech. And how many of these would you almost experience if that car runs out of battery? There's nothing. You can't even shift it into neutral to push it off the road, can you?
It's not quite as easy.
It's not quite as easy. So sorry, Peter. How do you stand out? How do you get your message across? And not, your product. And honestly, I don't know your product. I've heard it's super awesome. But how does one go about doing that?
It's, again, I was talking about relationships. It's like there's flashing everything out here. It goes well beyond the platform. It's what backs the platform. Remaining nimble as a company, the knowledge of people that we bring on board, and we're very careful to positions what they can bring value with their knowledge of the industry, sharing that knowledge. And it's not always a consulting fee or we're going to charge this for an hour on web screen share. It's we're going to back what we offer with our knowledge and support and be a partner. That takes time to develop that. The business wouldn't that way stays. That's kind of how we're growing organically.
And it's very true because the business, while turning very techy, is also turning into real business. And we're losing the days of the second and third generation dealer. And we've been with Chevy for 112 years, and when this show was about stuff you can touch, stuff you can feel. Not about numbers. Right next to us is the Kurt Reynolds Bandit truck. How awesome is that? But it's definitely not the car business. So thank you. Gentlemen, I thank you both very much for taking the time to join us. An absolute pleasure to meet you. I quite enjoyed it. If you have anything, my favorite thing was parting comments. Anything you want to add any additional value other than ship your car now?
Well, I just want to say again, thank you for letting me come on the show, and thank you for all your viewers out there. I'm here to help. I'm here to help. Thank you.
And yourself?
Just to thank you. It's a great community. It's a big community, but sometimes it's very small, intimate at the same time. Just great people. I love being part of it. Thanks for having me here today.
Well, thank you very much. And my final saying other than come check out the autohubshow.com, and of course on various platforms, is the best thing about the car business is this. It's a life, and I think you'd agree. Anybody that's tried to get out of it comes back into it. And it's not because it's easy, because it's the same as it ain't easy. But thank you very much. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody out here. And I hear there's a guy here who's street buying ADs. He said, we got to talk. Thank you. Thank you for being in the quality booth, too. Thanks.